Okay, now we're recording.
Yeah, I see it.
And we're live, you guys. So,
okay, my screen share button is not popping up now.
Oh no.
Cool. Okay, here we go. Okay.
There we go. Cool. Let's see. Oh, why does it keep switching? No.
I have switched it so people can talk, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
But I can't.
Carly,
Yeah.
just make sure that on yours, Kate, that you click on Katie's screen.
Yeah. Okay. I just did. Now it should be good.
So now when we talk, it still stays on Katie's screen, right?
Yep.
Yeah, it should.
Yep.
Okay, cool.
We're good.
Okay. So are we gonna read or
Do you want to try it?
go do a run through?
Let's try it.
I'm nervous.
I don't even know what to say.
I know.
Sounds stupid.
Who's this slide?
That's mine.
I don't remember which ones are mine now.
Should we
yeah.
all have our pink toes out and hold them?
Let's see. Should we go from the beginning, or?
Like, oh man. Like, should we all introduce ourselves?
Yeah, we could like wave to. Okay, I can just introduce you guys and then you can wave as.
Okay.
Okay.
Hello and welcome to our group behavior change project presentation. Our group members include Kelsey Baxter, Katie Boniface. Did I say that right? Boniface. Okay, Katie Boniface.
Yeah.
Rachel Dick, Daisy Favela, and I'm Carly Eisner. Okay. So the study that we decided to replicate was the preliminary efficacy of prize-based contingency management to increase activity levels in healthy adults, which was by Banna, Gibson, and Washington, 2014. We have a link to our article here. And just a little summary of the study that we replicated. It involved 11 participants, and all of them were healthy adults. They used a Fitbit in this original study to track their steps, and they also were given prize draws for meeting certain criteria and a certain amount of steps each day. They could earn a prize, and it took place over a 3-week time period. The first week was baseline, where the participants were awarded prizes just for wearing the Fitbit. Then the second week was the intervention phase, where they were given a larger prize for completing their step criteria, reaching their step criterion. And then they also went back to baseline at the end of the study. And yeah, that was how that basically worked.
Okay, so I'm going to talk about methods of our behavior change project. The purpose of our study and the study that we are replicating was to increase activity levels in healthy adults by increasing their step count per day and proving that that increases their overall health level. Some of the materials we used, we all purchased a Panko multifunction portable outdoor speaker, and we wore it for each day of the study. We were also all provided or given a link to an activity guide that was used in the study. This is a 28-page guide that instructs adults on how to increase their physical activity levels. We also used the Weather Channel app on all of our cell phones, where we recorded accurate weather data for each of our locations each day.
Another material we used was a reward randomizer used for the participants to randomly select prizes if they met their daily criteria of steps or wearing the pedometer. 50% were verbal praises and 50% were monetary type treats. And we use an Excel spreadsheet on a shared Google document. Participants share their daily steps with each other in a picture of their Panko, as well as uploaded their data to a Google spreadsheet. And we communicated through Google Hangouts weekly.
And then some more of the methods. So our target behavior for the study was steps taken. We are defining steps taken as any movement, such as walking, running, skipping, jumping. This can be flat-footed or on tiptoes. Our pedometer read any body movement, including swaying of the body, or if we wore it on our arms, it included just our arm swings as steps. This could be taken while we're sitting or standing. The steps taken per day will be defined as the number of steps taken throughout the waking hours, meaning whenever we were up and ready to begin our steps for the day, and concluding at or before 11:59 p.m. of that same day. Our data collection was taken using our Pinko pedometers. We all took photos of our readings at the end of the day and shared them with the rest of our group. We also uploaded our weather data as well as our steps to our shared Google document. And providing our group pictures to the members was also our self-verification. And then the design of our study was an ABA reversal design. So we went from a baseline 1 to intervention to baseline 2. In our replication, each phase was 5 days. In the original study, it was 7.
Oh, this is me. Okay, so for baseline 1, participants were allowed to select a prize from the name randomizer each day that they met the criteria for wearing the pedometer. So in baseline, we were basically just taking data of how many steps we took, but we didn't have a criteria yet. And then we got to select a prize that half of the prizes consisted of verbal praise, and the other half were smaller prizes, like we could earn a candy bar. And then for the intervention phase, the participants recorded their steps each day, and they used a percentile schedule of 3/5 each day to determine the step criteria for each day in the intervention phase. Each day in the intervention that a participant met their criteria, they were able to select a prize from the randomizer. So the way that we figured out the step criteria for each day is we had 5 days for baseline data. And so the first day of our intervention, we looked at the 5 days of baseline and we put them in order from smallest to the largest number. And then we chose the third highest number. Yeah, the third highest number, and that number was the criteria for our first day of intervention. So then for our second day of intervention, we would use the previous 5 days. So basically the last 4 days of baseline and the first day of intervention. And again, we would put them in order from smallest to largest. And then we would choose the third highest day, which in our case would be the median. And that would be the criteria for the second day of intervention. And that just kept repeating itself for the 5 days of intervention. And then if we met our criteria that day for intervention, we were able to spin the wheel, the randomizer, and we could pick our prize. So half of those prizes were verbal praise, and half of them were they were prizes that were a little more valuable or higher in value than our baseline prizes. So we had, like, we could make a trip to Target, or we could buy ourselves lunch or treat ourselves to ice cream. And then for our second baseline, which was the last 5 days of when we were taking data, we wore our pedometer and we recorded our data, and we basically got to spin the wheel if we just wore our pedometer. So we didn't have to meet any criteria for our steps.
So in order to calculate inter-observer agreement, we had each of us record the total numbers of steps taken on our Pinko pedometer at the end of the day within the Google document. So we recorded it within the Google document. We also took a picture of the pedometer showing the total number of steps for the day, and we emailed that to another group member. Then the other group member then recorded that number on a Google document as well to compare those numbers together. And then after 5 days of data had been collected, we had figured out the inter-observer agreement for each day using the formula smaller count divided by larger count times 100, which was the total count IOA percentage. So IOA was obtained during 33% of the days for all participants because we collected IOA for the first 5 days, which were the first 5 baseline days of the study. The IOA for me was 100%. It was also 100% for Rachel, 100% for Kelsey, 100% for Katie, and 100% for Daisy. So we had a mean IOA of 100% for our study. Maybe I could add something. Sorry, I just thought of this. Maybe I could add something about how the original study didn't have that
Yeah, that's good.
in it. Okay, so I'll just add something about that.
Guys, can we also like all mute our microphones if we're not talking?
I feel like I'm gonna forget to unmute it, and then I'll just be talking, and no one will hear me.
I know, but it's because you hear like a lot of background noise.
Yeah. Okay.
It'll tell you though if you start talking. It'll tell you like you need to unmute it.
Okay.
Okay. So then we looked into treatment integrity, and this was used by having all of us submit our steps on the Pinko pedometer daily. We each sent a picture to each other right before bed. All of us submitted the picture and the information to confirm the data was being taken accurately. And then all of us were observed indirectly, so we were supposed to be relying on our Pinko devices and honesty of the use with the devices. For social validity, we were asked to complete a survey based on the quality and effects of the study compared to their health. The survey will include questions based on their steps and how we compared overall in health. So for this one, should we just go over what our baseline was and intervention was for everything?
Yeah, I would think so.
Yeah, so just be like, I don't know how to say it without. So just be like, for my first baseline, my average was 4,075 steps. For intervention, it was 4,057 steps, and the average for the last one was 4,688 steps.
I feel like maybe we should just describe like what the sheet is for, so we could say like, but then only like one of us would say it. We don't all have to say it.
Okay, so I can say it since mine's first. So
Okay.
should I just say like we calculated out our averages for each baseline and intervention, and then the range, and each did our own separate graph.
I guess I don't really.
And I don't know how to explain that.
What about like are you talking about like the weather graph? I don't know.
Yeah.
Okay. So just like explain that we just tracked the high and low temperatures and the average humidity as well as precipitation events.
Okay.
Like just do a broad thing there too, maybe.
All right, let me make a note.
Okay.
So I'll just say that right when the graphs come up.
Mm-hmm. Okay, that'd be cool. Awesome.
And then when all of our other ones come out, we should say like, this is my data.
And just say like, if you didn't meet your criterion,
Yeah.
explain. Yeah.
So our conclusions in the original study were that 4 of the 11 participants showed improved step counts during the intervention, In our replication, 2 of the 5 participants met their STEP criteria for all 5 days of the intervention. 1 participant met criteria 4 of the days. 1 participant met 3 of the days. 1 participant met criteria for 2 of the days, 2 of the 5 days of intervention.
Okay, so some of the limitations that we had, so the first one, all participants found the pinko pedometer to produce, so we all found that the pedometers were not very accurate when they were in their recording. So we had, the first couple of days, we all used a different counting device, and some of us use we use our iPhones, and we found that they don't count most of our movements. Like, I don't know if I should mention this, but like, I know the first day that we met, we all put our pedometers on and walked around our house counting the steps that we took, and we compared it to what the pedometer said, and it was not like that at all. Not what should I even say that?
I don't know. I feel like it's definitely a limitation, and we should probably say like how we,
Yeah.
know. So
Yeah.
I just feel like that's lame. Like, I don't know. I feel like it's something dumb.
If you can think of something better, then we should use that. But I think we definitely need to say why we don't think it's accurate. So we can't just say it's accurate and then not,
Okay.
Yeah, I think it's fine.
So I don't know if you can definitely change that slide, because I think it sounds kind of silly too, and then just say whatever you feel about it.
Okay, and I just feel like I didn't read through these before I'm kind of reading them right now as I'm going. So, okay. All right. Another limitation that we had was that the participants in the study were actually able to draw. So when they for us, when we spun the wheel, we didn't have anything that was actual, like, oh, you get $10 or you get $15. Ours was more of like, you get to treat yourself to lunch, or you get to make a trip to Target. And they had more of actual prizes that were of a certain, so for them, baseline was stuff that was equivalent to $5, and then intervention was stuff that was equivalent to $15. And we didn't have that. So maybe like the fact that I don't know what to say.
Yeah, I don't know. I think it's more, but not necessarily limitation. It's just like a difference between the two.
Yeah. Well, whatever. Okay. Okay. Also, for us in our group, there was only 5 of us, and in the actual study there was 11 participants. So ideally, we would need to have at least 11 participants, if not more. Okay. If not more, to be able to replicate the study. And lastly, in the study, they had, for each of their phases, they had 7 days. And for us, for lack of time, we only used 5 days for each of our phases. So that could also have affected our results.
Okay. And then I guess if the teacher has any questions for us.
That was not even 20 minutes, just so you know.
No, it wasn't.
I think once we look through it, we can talk more about it. We also skipped over each of our graphs.
Yeah, that's true.
Can we kind of go over what we need to talk about from our graphs, though?
Yeah, because I don't really know what to say.
Yeah.